What's up, everybody? This is the Healing Kings podcast, and I'm your host, Drew Cost. Today's topic is probably one of my favorite topics. It's a little different than what we normally do in a way, but it's kind of uh, the backbone, honestly, of how we actually do things. So today's topic is about how does Drew make content and all things content. Yes, there are 1,000 videos on YouTube that you can look at about content and things like that. But it's a question I get asked very often, weekly. How do you make content? How do you make so much of it? Tips and all of that stuff. So in this episode, I'm going to spill the beans. Now, I want to start off by saying I make content because I'm a business owner. I'm not making content because I'm a hobbyist. Those are two different things. If you're making content because you're a hobbyist, you can put out whatever you want, whenever you want, how much of it, and it doesn't matter. I'm a business owner. It doesn't mean I can't have fun with it. It doesn't mean I can't be authentically me. I do want to be authentically me at all times. It's just different. So I'm going to talk to those who either have a business or you're building a business and you want to get better at it. If you can think of content like this, it'll help you and it'll take some ease off of your mind. Content is the language between you and your current customer, your future customer, or your old customer, right? We do know that people who may have left the business, they do come back sometimes if you want them back. It's the language between you and your customer. It's how you prove that you're trustworthy. It's how you prove that you know what you're talking about. It's also sometimes when people want to make decisions, they need to see you a little bit more. This is why I'm always telling those who I coach, even with my life coaching, they have businesses. We usually get into the conversation about content. And if they're scared to post and things like that, we need to overcome that quickly. We are in a world where media is one of the biggest industries in the world, and it's not gonna leave. You need media to get information across. So first thing is, when you make content, I like to say I like to tell stories. I like to tell stories, and I like to tell stories where there is some hero and there is some villain. The villain could be anything. The villain could be haters. The villain could be procrastination. I like that because I believe people buy into stories. If you look at every movie that you've ever seen that was good, there's always a hero, there's always a villain, and there's always a problem that needs to be solved. If you really look at movies now, you'll realize that the problem that needs to be solved or happens, it comes out probably within the first like 5ish minutes of the movies. So let's say, for example, um, Drew Drew had to go to Drew had to go to Alaska, and I tell the story like this: Drew had to go to Alaska. He got in the car, drove to the airport. Airport was good. He got on the plane. Plane ride was good. He got to the destination, checked in at the hotel, and it was good. All right, that's a cool story. It's positive, but you're probably not going to stick with the story for long. You're also probably not going to feel compelled to keep listening to the story because it's average is normal. Now, let's say I did it this way. Drew, um, Drew is going to be going to, let's say, Australia. On the way to Drew going to Australia, he witnesses a big dog, and the dog is standing in front of his car door. Now, Drew is scared of dogs. Automatically, now you see like there's some type of a villain and there's some type of problem that has presented itself pretty quickly. Now you're probably thinking in your head, how is he going to get past this dog? Does he have a fear of dogs? What's going to happen? So I like to think of content like that when I'm storytelling. Also, storytelling, I like to tell stories about myself that others can find themselves in. Newsflash, no one just cares about your story. Like your parents might care about it or your friends, but no one really cares about your story. People are selfish. They want to know, how do they find themselves in your story? This is a big one. How do I find myself in that story? Because I also want to experience the victory that he experienced. And I also want to know that I'm not the only one experiencing what I'm experiencing. So I like storytelling for that reason. You can storytell about yourself, about movies, about other people with permission. There's tons of ways you can do that. The second thing with content is I like breaking down a problem that I'm solving for somebody clearly. If I'm talking about, usually I talk about men and getting them unstuck and things like that. So I usually talk about the problem. The problem with men sometimes is we don't have outlets. That's a problem. The solution is we've built a podcast, we've built a community, we've built places where they can go and get answers, vent, not feel alone. There's a problem, there's a solution. The more you agitate the problem, the more I talk about the problem, pulls people in because they can start identifying. And I always want to give the solution or lead them to a solution. Example, we we talk about men getting unstuck. Example I just gave is sometimes men feel that they're completely alone. With feeling alone, they make decisions that's only for themselves to get out of what they're in. They usually make decisions based on survival. And I'll do something like, man, when was the last time you felt somebody heard you? Now I got them thinking. I got the women thinking. I'm agitating that problem that I'm giving them a solution. And don't overcomplicate it. You can make that really, really simple, really, really quick. The next thing is find out what your audience wants from you and how they receive it. When people tell me, I don't like making videos because that's not my style, what they're really saying is I'm scared to show up on camera. I don't have I need my stream deck to give y'all like one of those like noises. What they're really saying is I'm scared to show up on video. That's exactly what they're saying. They don't want to tell you that, but that's what they're saying. And you get past that fear by showing up, realizing that you're talking to one person versus 80,000 at once, and you get over the fear of that. And I do coaching for that too. That can set you free. Nothing wrong with writing, right? I think blogging and writing captions and copyright, that's very, very important. That's never going to go anywhere. Ebooks and all that stuff, it's not going to go anywhere. But you want to realize how your audience receives your information is going to dictate if they buy or not. I like videos for a couple reasons. Number one, if I do videos, I can reuse the video. I can chop the video up and do massive amounts of things with it, such as I can make smaller videos out of it. I can make a post out of it. I can take a screenshot of me talking and have a picture for a post later. I can take out me talking and just use my voice for audio later. I can make a podcast with a video. I can make a YouTube video with the video. So I'm thinking I want to kill two birds in one stone. If I just do the video, I'll get a lot of footage back to me. So I like that. But there's nothing wrong with writing, with postings. Nothing's wrong with that. There are Instagram accounts that have thousands of followers and they just tweet. That doesn't mean every account is going to be that way, but you want to find out, how does your audience receive information from you? Do they need the video to be super polished? I found out that most people, yes, a professional polished video looks really, really good. Nothing's wrong with that. But sometimes they want to see a little bit of like things are not perfect. They want to see a little bit of like, oh, like the camera may be crooked. They're perfect like me. I want to find myself in it because they want to work with somebody who's just like a step ahead of them, not 70,000 steps ahead of them sometimes. So find out how your audience receives the information. And the last one I'll give for today, I could talk about the subject for hours. The last one I want to give today is, with content, you want to find a groove of consistency. You want to know, people want to know that you're going to show up. I told one of my students that no matter how smart he is with this one subject, if he probably posts once a week as a business, and there's somebody who's half as smart as him, and they post 3-4 times a week, people are going to look at the person who's posting 3 to 4 times a week as the expert in that field or as the authoritative figure in that field. Why? it just so happens he's sharing more. He has one a week, which is 4 a month. He has 4 a week, which is freaking 16 a month. He's outdoing you by a good amount. With consistency, you want to work out the consistency muscle by showing up and not overthinking how to make it so great. Before you guys ever saw this mic and cameras and lights and all that stuff, a lot of content that I put out and still do put out is just with a phone. Sometimes no lighting, sometimes no good audio. Sometimes it's the most random things. The most random shots I've ever taken or videos I've ever taken have done the best. And I'm like, how? I didn't even think about this thing and it did so well. People like rawness, man. People like behind the scenes stuff. And I can't lie, I'm one of those people too. I love behind the scenes stuff. I love rawness. But you want to figure out, how can I be consistent? A muscle that I challenge my students to do is set a goal. One of my goals was to do 70 videos in 3 months. And the videos had to be 10 minutes or longer. And by doing that, it made me realize I got to study more. I got to get more comfortable in front of the camera. I got to figure out some times where I'm not going to be disrupted. I have to figure out more subjects I want to talk about that actually help people. And that muscle working out that muscle made me a better speaker, a better presenter. What it also did too was make me better at just showing up consistently. People know now he's going to always show up. He's going to be there. If you have any questions about content, please feel free to reach out to me. I do coach people with content to help them with their business. And it's something that you want to actually get better at, because it's not going to go away. Content is how your clients hear you, they understand you, they trust you. If you ever thought of a sales funnel, it's all filled with content. The first part is you got to find out who do you attract, who's your audience. Then you have to get information from them, their email, and that's through a lead magnet. That's content. Then after that, you got to eventually build that relationship. That's going to be through content, email, marketing, sharing stuff on social media, nurturing them. Then eventually when you do make an offer, that offer is content also. You make an offer, they become a customer. When they're a customer, people slow down here. No. When you're a customer, I want to make sure you have content from me and you, so you understand that I have something that you need and I want to give it to you. When you're upselling customers a subscription model or just selling them something higher that they need, that's content also. So it's never going to go anywhere. What you want to think about is, how do I become better at this? And if you're stuck, I can definitely help you out. So think, what kind of content do I want to build? Can I tell stories? How can I be consistent? And how can I make sure that my content is showing a problem and showing a solution? Don't just tell people they have trauma. Let people know that they can be healed from trauma. And there's another side to that trauma experience or trauma type of life. As always, guys, go be